Yes, that's right. The mast is coming down again. We've got some serious problems to tackle while it's down, but that's a story for another day. Right now, the spotlight is on something long overdue, giving Saoirse the makeover she deserves. Since her last coat of paint in Curacao, she's weathered countless miles, faced the relentless sea, and picked up more than a few battle scars along the way. Scratches, bruises, and patchwork repairs that tell the story of every adventure. But now, it's time for a fresh start. And if we're painting the freeboard, why stop there? We're gonna go all in. A full refresh. From bow to stern. With the mast down, it's time to shift focus to prep the boat for topside paint. First up, the anchor chain. We're flaking the chain over a stand, keeping it dry and off the ground. Laid out like this, every link is exposed, making it way easier to inspect for corrosion and wear. But there's more to this than just maintenance. Having the chain organized now will make marking it later a breeze. And while we're at it, it's the perfect chance to dive into the anchor locker and give it a long overdue clean out. We're stripping away as much hardware as necessary to make painting smoother and more efficient. With a clear deck, there's less to tape off, fewer obstacles to paint around, and a much cleaner finish in the end. But this isn't just about making the job easier. Removing these pieces gives us a chance to inspect everything up close. And when it's time to reinstall, we'll rebed every fitting with fresh butyl tape, making sure that it's watertight. Since Brandy is the smallest and most flexible, she gets the honor of squeezing into the chain locker to remove the hardware.
Okay.
Tight spaces, awkward angles, not exactly glamorous, but definitely necessary.
This shouldn't take long.
It's actually working pretty well.
Is it?
Yeah.
What do you use?
I've never used this anti-bond before, but it's supposed to dissolve the 5200, and it does. I literally just sprayed it on and I'm able to scrape it off now. Slowly, but it's working.
8 years ago, one of the very first repairs I tackled on Xoxo was glassing up the deck to hull joint. But back then I was still learning, new to fiberglass, new to epoxy, and well, let's just say it wasn't my best work. Now, after many miles at sea, time has exposed the flaws. The fiberglass is cracking in places, and it's clear that my attempt hasn't held up the way it should have. So there's only one thing to do: grind it back and do it right.
What are you doing today?
Epoxying the deck to hull joint, cut out some glass, and now I'm about to lay down some epoxy. But the reason that we're redoing all this is because I didn't do it right back when we got the boat. It was my first fiberglass job and I kind of knew what I was doing, but not really. So literally my first batch that I did was on the rear starboard side, and when I ripped that up, it was uncured. Making a little epoxy tray for myself, that way when I get the epoxy all mixed up, I can just dump it in here and spread it out a little bit, and it's easier to wet out my pieces. Plus it won't kick as fast because there's more of a surface area, it's not all bunched up. If you mix up bigger batches and it's bunched up, there's a faster chemical reaction, so it kicks off faster. So this helps a little bit. And it's blazing hot today, so I need all the time I can get. Just gotta de-wax the surface real quick and then start mixing up some epoxy. It's all about the prep. now that all the prep's done, just gonna start mixing up epoxy. Just gonna work in small batches, and the epoxy I'm using is the Total Boat Extra Slow system. Oh, see that I already poured too much. Only doing about eight or 9 ounces. It's hard to tell because I'm just using the little measure, the 3-to-1 measurement on the cup, so it doesn't tell me the actual ounceage. But I'm also using biaxial for the fabric, and with biaxial you want about 28 ounces per square yard. We're not glassing that much, so we won't be mixing up that much, but you do need quite a bit of resin to soak up that thick glass. And mixing this stuff is super important. You have to make sure that you get it pretty exact, because like I did the first time when I first mixed up my first glass, my first resin, I did not get the ratios proper and it delambed, and actually it never cured, and it was all wet and nasty when I just took that off or ground it out. A lot of it just ripped off. Always make sure you wet out your surface. And if it's wood, you gotta let it sit for a little bit, because it will soak it up. You don't want it to rob the glass of the epoxy.
Having a second set of hands makes a huge difference. While one person lays out the fiberglass, the other can clean out the mixing cup and mix up the next batch of epoxy. This keeps the workflow smooth, and it allows us to lay out all the fiberglass at once, which creates a stronger, more seamless repair that bonds into one solid piece.
Is it dripping?
Nah. Up at the nose it is.
Probably the most dangerous part of the job.
Gonna check my work today, see how well we did yesterday, glassing up this deck-to-haul joint.
Came out pretty nice.
I just got back from the bus station dropping Brandy off. She is running back to the States just for a couple days to pick up some much needed mass parts.
Well, as you can see, I'm no longer traveling. I actually stopped in this little place called Casa Quetzal to be able to catch an early flight in the morning, so I'll be staying here tonight. But I came prepared. I have my pillow because I don't have my bow. I've got my Kindle and these headphones because it is a little bit noisy outside, so listen to some white noise tonight. Also, if you guys have been following me, my not so secret weapon, Beam Dream. I know that some of you guys out there have the same issue with sleeping as I do, and especially when you're traveling, a new bed, a new place, you don't have your partner with you, sounds. My brain just works around when I'm traveling, so it makes it even more difficult to sleep. So I came with this. Right now, they are running an up to 35% discount for you guys. So if you click this link here or the QR code and enter Beau and Brandy at the checkout, you'll get that discount. But I know that the stuff is working because of this guy, my Ultra Human Ring. So I know it's not just in my head, that it's actually working. Honestly, I would have been okay if it was just in my head. It is natural ingredients here. There is no gluten added, no added sugars, no GMO, no dairy, no artificial sugars. Best thing about this stuff is it's just one scoop, and that's all you need. You can put milk in it, you can put water in it, you can make it hot, make it cold. When I'm traveling, it's just easier just to do it with water. Down the hatch we go. What I'm going to do for you guys to share, I'm going to share my sleep score with you right now. It's going to be for from tomorrow morning, just so you can see how well this stuff is working. But I am going to bed because I've got an early rise in the morning. Cheers.
While she's gone, I am gonna continue on sanding because there is a ton of sanding that needs to get done. And once she gets back, she can help me with the rest of the stuff, because we still got to do a bunch more work before we're ready for paint. Brandy and I decided, since we're already out on the hard and we're doing painting anyways, that we should just go ahead and paint the freeboard and paint the decks. So I need to remove as much hardware as I can, and we've decided that we're gonna spray the vertical sides of the boat, and then we'll roll the flat sides, and we'll put some particulates, some sand down to be able to get a grip. I might look for some kiwi grip. I heard that's the best stuff to use, but I don't think I'm gonna have any luck finding that here. So I know they do sell the sand. We got a lot of surface prep to do today, and Brandy is going to help me sand. She's gonna take the longboard and sand the sides of these cabins. The cabin.
Cabin top. I wish we had cabins. We only have one.
So we have some 400 grit, get a nice surface for the final coat. You're gonna have.
And since I don't know how to use this, he's gonna have to show me how to use this longboard. It looks pretty
Fairly
easy,
so.
but it'll help you guys understand how to use it too if you ever want to use one.
You don't want to, kind of want to sand back and forth in one area once, and then keep moving it.
Like down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can go back up, and then you want to switch your angle.
How do I know when it's good enough?
You see how it's starting to flatten out?
Yeah.
So once you eliminate the bumps and you get like a flat, smooth surface, then it's done.
Okay.
But yeah, this will be, I mean, you see I didn't do much, and it took quite a bit off, so it shouldn't take too long. It might be a little difficult around the windows.
I might just use hand.
Yeah, you might have to just take it off and do it that way.
I don't want to go close by the windows using it anyways. The port lights.
You probably could get away
Yeah,
with
that
it
way
here,
for sure, but
not down
there,
here.
yeah. And I don't want to put that grip on the.
You
grip.
might even want to tape this up now, so if you do accidentally
Scrape it.
Yeah, you won't scrape up the metal.
Okay.
Doing some more fairing. Hopefully this is the last round. Well, it has to be the last round because we need to paint soon. We got a generator on that we're renting, so it's gonna. What's that?
Or is it a generator?
I'm sorry.
Oh.
We have a compressor that we're renting that's gonna get here tomorrow, so we can paint the following day. And the yard will be empty because it'll be Sunday and the workers don't work on Sunday. So that means less dust in the air.
And hopefully no rain.
Yeah, hopefully the weather holds out.
So we've got a lot of work to do. Prep, prep, prep.
Yeah, lots of prep.
So it's past sunset. Mosquitoes will be coming out soon, but I'm trying to get off all the hardware. I sanded as much as I could. If Beau hasn't mentioned it, we are giving Xoxo a complete paint job. So we are hoping to spray just the sideboards of the cockpit. So that's what I'm really concentrating on right now. But I think we're pushing it. I think we're pushing it.
Today we're gonna be doing more sanding.
You sound so excited about it.
It's just more sanding. Very boring. So Brandy and I figured since we gotta paint the toe rail, deck the hull joint area anyways, might as well we're out of the water, might as well just paint everything.
And there's like nobody really around. And it's finally dry season, so we have the opportunity. Okay, what do you think about today's?
It's a wrap. I don't know. We got some stuff done, but lots more sanding to do. Just have to do it another day. Mañana.
I mean, we're out of groceries and we need to go to the grocery store, but first I'm doing a load of laundry. I love this thing. We're not sponsored, by the way, but I love it because when we have jobs like this, one, I don't want to bring it to a laundromat, and two, it's just convenient that at the end of the day I can pop them in here, wash away, hang up in the blistering sun, and they're dry before nighttime. It's like 3:33. So, but we'll say goodnight and see you tomorrow.
We're going to be replacing these teak handrails with some whipped stainless steel. So I need to remove this, and this is the perfect time because we're repainting the deck anyways. So taking these off and going to fill the holes with thickened epoxy, and then we need to fabricate the new ones. I will have to end up cutting this off from the top because a lot of these bolts aren't undoing. A few are, but the bottom portion, the nut was captivated by the teak, and it's dug so much into the wood that it's actually stripped it on some of them. So I'll just use my little 3-inch grinder and lop them off. I could only get 4 of the 12 bolts out, so I definitely will have to cut these off, unfortunately, because the bolts seem to be still good. I just can't get to them on the backside, the underside, and cutting it is the only way I can think to get it out. Turns out this guy isn't deep enough. I can't get that deep with this blade, so I'm gonna have to bring out the angle grinder. It is another beautiful day for sanding. Glorious, glorious sanding. Before we can get paint on the boat, we gotta go pick it up. We're gonna get some 2-part polyurethane. We found out from some other cruisers in the yard that they sell Transocean here. Today will be hopefully the last day of sanding. My dad is actually a painter, and he gave me some hints and tips and tricks on how to paint the boat. But I still need to get it prepped. So I'm gonna sand the rest of the boat with 400 grit and then clean it multiple times, because any bit of dust on there is just gonna not create a nice finish. And it is super dusty in this boat yard. Oh, tired. Got the sanding done. I did want to do a round of cleaning, take the pressure washer and some soapy water and wash down the whole boat, but we're out of daylight, so I'm just gonna clean myself. I'll do it bright and early tomorrow. First things first, get the dust off the boat. So I'm going to pressure wash. Then I'm gonna take some soap and water and just scrub the boat. Since we're only spraying the sidewalls, that is my main focus. All right, now that it's washed, I'm gonna let this dry before I tape it up. But while waiting, I'm gonna take one of our companionway hatch boards, sand it down, and mix up a little bit of paint and try to dial in this gun and the compressor. A little concerned about the compressor. It's only a 50 liter, so I might have to go slow and let it catch up to allow the air to build. The reason I'm using this companionway hatch board is because it's got the same paint that's on the boat, and by sanding it down using 400 grit, we'll have the same surface. So I seen this trick got done at the paint store. The guy wanted to keep his paint can clean, so he created a little ramp out of cardboard. Ingenious. I'm gonna do about 150 milliliters of the base and then 50 milliliters of the hardener. I'll let it induce for 15 minutes, and then I will mix in, I think I'll start with 5% thinner. See how well that does. Really, I should have a din cup and to measure the viscosity, but all the main stores that I think I would be able to find those are closed today. All right, 15 minutes are up. So first thing I'm gonna try to do is dial in, I believe, the pattern, which is this one up here, and that's just what it looks like when it comes out of the gun and hits the surface. So what I'm looking for is an uniform elliptical shape, and then I need to adjust my atomizer. Basically, it's like a carburetor. It's your air to material gauge. So I'll dial that in to see how well what type of particles are hitting the surface. First, I'm going to test out the spray pattern on this little piece of wood. Just got off the phone with my dad just to ask him about what I'm seeing coming out of the gun. He said, I just want to don't worry about coverage. I'm so used to coverage that I want to see the paint filling in everything immediately, but that's the wrong thinking. So he said, just keep it wet and keep it tight. You want the paint coming out of the gun to be smaller than bigger, and what that means is the atomization of the actual material. So you'll see little bubble or splotches, I should say, of paint as you're laying it down. And he said, think of it as a room full of basketballs. Basketballs are big and rough, clunky. They take up a lot of space, but there's a lot of space in between them. So if you then fill the room with tennis balls, it's a lot tighter and smoother, and they'll fill more of the space. So just gotta keep that playing in my head as I'm spraying this. But the other thing he said is you just gotta do it. Another boater came by and who's already actually worked with this Transocean, and he said that it's actually way too thick and you gotta thin it a lot more than what's recommended in the spec sheet. So after thinning it out, it's laying a lot better, but I need to tape up because the sun is starting to go down. It's cooling off a little bit, but it's probably gonna take me a couple hours to at least get this boat taped up. Well, it's 4 o'clock and I'm still cleaning the gun. I haven't even begun to tape up the boat yet. So I don't think it's gonna happen today.